What's up guys, Sekapoko here, bringing you another 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross video. For this we'll be going over a tutorial on exactly what you can do in PvP to improve your gains, or to be very efficient. I know efficiency is your important, and we're going to be doing this with a lot less memes because this is a guide, so guys, without further ado, let's go and jump right into it. Alright guys, for this video we're going to be going over PvP and talking about some of the things that you could be doing wrong. And a lot of players that I've seen doing this are usually in the lower ranks, or possibly just in lower ranks at the top tier or whatnot. And I do see this very often. Every time I see it I say, what are you doing, my guy? First thing to notice is a lot of people will be doing some things incorrectly as far as PvP goes. When you do any kind of PvP, you gotta know what the rewards are and what the gains are for going from tier to tier and what's worth it, what's not. At the start of the game, people were saying, okay, we're gonna push up from bronze, get as high as we can, and get all the way to champion 5 and get 50 gems a week and stay there. Because we're never gonna drop out, and that'll be fine. And that's a good idea. It's a very good idea. Going to champion 5 and then never going down, never being D-ranked in gearless PvP, good idea. I mean, that's a solid idea. Push as fast as you want, your 50 gems a week, get done. If you want to push to champ 1, go as hard as you want, use whatever coins, whatever food you want to use, and just blow through it. It's a very, very smart idea. When it comes to geared PvP though, there are a lot of different things that a lot of players don't really realize. In geared PvP, there's going to be a ranking system for Challenger PvP that comes after Champion 1, and every single week you're going to D-rank from Challenger down to Champion 1. But in gearless PvP, you never D-rank from, say, Champion 5 down to Masters 1. In geared PvP, however, whatever rank you're at, so you're at Masters 4, you'll go down to Masters 5. If you're Masters 5, you go down to Platinum 1. All of these things will happen to you. With geared PvP, there are benefits to going all the way to the highest rank because you get more out of it. You'll notice something in here. In the entire league for Champion, everything here is for 2,000 coins that we get for PvP coins. In Masters, it's all 1,000 coins. And in Platinum 1, it's 500 coins. Gold 1, it's 200 coins, and that's what the cap is. So what's the point in doing geared PvP? Well, the big point in even doing geared PvP in general, if you are a normal player, not a top 100 player, not somebody who's pushing in Champion for the high ranks and getting all these here, even though the big reward is, coins, well, the whole point is to get PvP coins. And what I see people do a lot of the time, which is so odd to me, and it just makes zero sense, is they end up using a lot of food that they use in gearless PvP, and they use that same food in geared PvP to progress. You could be using avoid food, attack food. You could be using a lot of different kinds of foods. And when I go to my list of here of different kinds of foods, there's a lot of different foods I use for PvP. I sometimes will use a bit of health food, max health food here to increase my max HP, and I'll do that in gearless PvP. Or potentially I can use combat class food to get an edge over my opponent, so I had to go first. Or sometimes I'll use avoid food to avoid the first hit. I think this, yeah, evade enemy attack just once for avoid food, or sometimes I use ultimate gauge food depending on the team I'll use, and that means my strategy is working very effectively, and I'm doing very, very well, and I'm able to progress in PvP. That gets my win rate high and makes it so I can just go through gearless PvP very quickly. I sometimes will of course use attack food or pierce food, whatever food I want to use in order to get those gains. But geared PvP is a totally different animal, because the only reason to do geared PvP at all is for these PvP coins. And then if you do have another reason of doing it, is how high can you push? And then if you're trying to push very high in Challenger PvP, that's when you start using real food and start pushing with real food, so you can have very fast wins and progress very quickly. However, in geared PvP, whether you're in Champion 1 versus Champion 5, you get the exact same amount of rewards as far as PvP coins go. The only thing you get more of is gold, and that's really not what you do PvP for. You do PvP mainly for the PvP coins. So what I see people doing all the time in geared PvP, which is very interesting, is they end up using a lot of different kinds of normal food. Typically what I see is combat class food, or attack food, or potentially even avoid food or ultimate gauge food, and these are the big ones I see. But for some reason, people just skip the most important food that everyone should be using. In geared PvP, if you are not trying to be a top 100 player, you're not trying to progress very, very quickly, you don't want to get all the way to Challenger in the first 2 days, then you should really just be using Festival Coin Gain food. Now, why should you use Festival Coin Gain food? Festival Coin Gain food actually will give you 1,000 times percent of whatever food coin gain you're gonna get. So instead of 3 coins per PvP win, you actually get 33 per win. So as you can see, as I won that PvP match, I'm actually getting 33 coins per win right here versus getting the normal 3 with the increased coin food. So when people are fighting in geared PvP, if you see people using real food and trying to progress with real food, your gains are so limited. You're not really getting anything out of it. The only time you're going to get something out of it is if you promote from a tier to another tier. And you really, if you want to be competitive in PvP, you can do that. But if you're doing it in the lower ranks, or if you're not at the maximum rank, then there's really no point for you to use normal food. The only thing you should be using is this festival coin gain food. And the reason you should use it is because you get more festival coins. The reason this is very important, if you win, say, 10 times in PvP, that's 333 PvP coins that you can gain out of just doing 10 matches for PvP. But if you did it with, say, attack food or HP food or avoid food, you got 33 coins. And to me, that's a massive difference in PvP coins. Why would you do that? That makes no sense to me, because the whole point in doing geared PvP is to gain festival coin. And if you think that you're going to be getting more out of it by using some kind of other progression food for more attack, you really get so much less out of it. Pushing in geared PvP without that is really not viable. So right now I have 3,291 PvP coins. I totally forgot about them, and I'm probably going to be spending them in here. And what I can do is I can actually use these PvP festival coins, of course, to buy those anvils that everyone needs. And because I'm able to buy the anvils, I'm able to improve my gear and progress on my account. Now, even if it takes me twice as many matches, or 3 times as many matches, or 4 times as many matches to get to the maximum rank, I'm still getting 5 times more PvP coins than the other guy who just used normal progression food. And that, to me, makes no sense. So why would you end up using normal food to get there? If you don't have a ton of time to do PvP throughout the week, and you really need to push very quickly just to get those your PvP up to challenger rank and then stop for the rest of the week, I totally understand. That makes perfect sense to me. But what I've seen for the last couple days is the vast majority of players are not using PvP coin food, which is a huge problem if you're trying to get big gains in PvP. So please, guys, use the PvP coin gain food in order to get that done. What you can do also, or even every week if you're really trying to progress, is you can actually reset the shop here, and you can do that for 1 diamond. And that means you can actually buy another set here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset the shop, and I can go back and I can actually buy another 5 sets of anvils. So if you guys are pushing very, very hard, 6 actually. I don't even give a fuck. If you're really trying to push in PvP and get lots of PvP coins, again, please start using PvP festival coin food if you're really trying to get gains on your account. If you are just trying to push for top 100, please use normal food. Push, push, push. Do your thing, buddy. You go. I believe in you. But if you're just a normal player trying to get your rewards, trying to get as much stuff as you can every week, PvP coin food is the way. Oh wow, look at that. 161 anvils. That's pretty cool. I like that. That's nice. Next question I get asked, of course, is what food should I be using in PvP? Now, there's 3 different types of PvP food that you should be using, of course. The first is coin food if you're really trying to just let you lots of gains every week. But if you're really trying to do gearless PvP and trying to progress there are a lot of different kinds of foods you should be using. This right here is a current meta composition that a lot of players are using in PvP to progress very well. This is what's called an ultimate gauge team. Now, the reason this team is very effective is we have Thur to make this team very strong in order to give rank ups, as well as attack seal pressure to lock out a lot of different teams that rely on using attack skills and pierce comps, etc. Then we have Merlin for ultimate gauge rush, as well as ultimate gauge rollback and shield protection. And we have King for healing, cleansing, and of course petrifying, as well as big ultimate damage. Now, of course, we have both King and Thur here for big ultimate damage, so that you can actually wipe an entire enemy team with these if you have your ultimates maxed out on these characters. And then we have Thunder here in order to give us a little bit extra pressure before we have a very defensive team. Now, this whole team relies on ultimate gauge rushing, so this team is very, very good with ultimate gauge food, or even combat class food if you really want to go first. Combat class food can be a little bit safer at times, and ultimate gauge food can be safer at times. It really depends on your gear level as well as where you are in the game in order to tell you what you should be doing for your food. Now, if you're winning on combat class a significant amount of the time, you can definitely go with an ultimate gauge food. If you're losing on combat class about half the time, you're not really sure if you're going to win or not, you might want to use combat class food in order to make sure that you win on combat class somewhere between 80% to 100% of the time. Next up, we have a Gallant Rush comp, and this team is a very, very high DPS composition, and it can run with 2 different backlines. The first can be Gil Thunder, the second be Merlin. It really depends on exactly how you want to use your strategy. Now, this team, I heavily recommend using either HP food, combat clues food, or using attack food. Now, you can potentially use ultimate gauge food if you're using the Merlin in the backline, but I personally will be running combat class food as a priority on this team so that I have the opportunity to go first. Now, the reason that is very, very important is because the team relies on 2 cards coming to your team. The first card that is reliant on coming to your team is Arthur's buff card, and the second character card that could be happening is Galen's attack skill, not his bleed skill. If you get either one of those 2 cards, you're in a very good position. So in order to increase the chances of getting those things, what you can do is move Gowther to your left hand side in order to get a merge on the Gowther card for an attack seal to give yourself a little extra pressure. Or you could conversely use Galen on the left hand side, get a merge on his attack card, and potentially have a very good situation. I think that merging Gowther on the left hand side would actually be the most beneficial, because that would give you, if you did get a bad card, which would be Gowther's attack card, a merge on that attack card giving you a seal and an opportunity to get a second card. This would probably be the best way to organize this team. And what you could do is use combat class food, so you make sure you go first so you can instantly rush an enemy. The team relies on you boosting on your Gowther onto either Arthur or Galen, depending on which card you get, and then instantly killing an enemy on the field. That is the idea for this team, and that's basically how it's going to run. Next up, we have a damage comp, and this damage comp was very good prior to the week with Gowther. It's going to be falling off about this week pretty heavily because this week we have a lot more attack seals, and as you can see in this team, we have 1, 2 attack seals and a cleanse. Now, this is actually going to work okay this week. You won't be able to run a full Pierce comp without King anymore, but you will be able to get away with just using 2 DPS in here as well as a King. Now, if you did want to use a Pierce comp with Green Liz instead of Bond, that works too, but seeing how you're already having 3 humans on the team, it kind of makes more sense to use CS Bond. Now, looking into these units, one of the big things that's very important for this particular team is not so much going first, but doing large amounts of damage. And if you do want to do large amounts of damage, since not every unit on there is a Pierce comp, you can use attack food or you can use Pierce food. The other thing that could be happening that would be a very, very effective thing for this team, if you're running this in gearless PvP, is you really want to focus on getting those big gains right away. So combat class food would be a very big thing. Ultimate gauge food, however, was a very bad thing with this composition unless you're running Merlin in the backline. So with this type of team, I would more recommend using combat class food, attack food, or HP food to give you the bigger gains. Over the long-term fight, I would say HP food would probably be the most beneficial, as it will actually scale very well with the team composition. As you get 15% HP on your entire team, as well as an extra 8% from Hauser, you're getting a large amount of extra HP. The 10% bump from HP food actually might give you a little bit extra edge on enemies so they don't actually one-tap you. This is actually a huge benefit for your whole team because King actually has a heal based on maximum HP, giving you the most benefit on a well-rounded team for this style of composition. Now, the same can be said if you were using, say, a Jericho here instead of the Bond. There can be many different variants of this team. Hauser, you could not even use on your team in gearless PvP. You could be using, say, a Griamore in the back, and using Arthur in the not Griamore, or say using a Gil Thunder in the back line and using this variant. There are many different variants you could be using, but in PvP, you make sure you want to use the right food in gearless PvP and geared PvP. In geared PvP, of course, if you're not pushing for top 100, please use coin food. It is way more beneficial to you and your account. Alright guys, well, I hope this video was very informative and helped you guys out in understanding what the gains are in PvP, what you really should be focusing on in order to get the maximum gains for your account. Because if you are using different kinds of food in PvP that aren't coin food, you're really hurting yourself in short term and long term. When you're hurting yourself and you're not realizing that you're not being very efficient with your farming. So in PvP, it is a form of farming because a lot of the time you're farming what, 2-3 times a day if you're not using gems refill for stamina, and that makes it so that you're constantly trying to get as many coins as you can out of PvP. So it's really valuable to make sure that you do that. My name is Sekapoko. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did enjoy the video, please go ahead and like the video. Of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And of course, you guys have a great rest of your day.